Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 46, I believe we're up to now. So
46.
we're getting up there, aren't we, Rose?
We're nearly at 50. Wow.
Nearly at 50, nearly at half a century. So we have a very special guest here today. We were absolutely blown away a couple of weekends ago when we saw her come on to the Texas Pro stage. And we were watching and we're like, Holy Mary, Mother and Joseph, we need to find out who this woman is. So without further ado, please welcome IFBB figure pro Tamera Joy Barrett. Thank you for coming on board.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm excited. I'm really excited.
So weird because we've been watching you, and I must admit I've been stalking your Instagram page. I'm so sorry for the multiple likes. I know it comes across as such a creepy thing to do, but I was just like, I was looking through your videos and your reels. I'm like, I'm sorry, I've got to like it tomorrow. I'm liking them all. And you're also, like myself, a tall girl, so I was extremely excited when I saw your physique because we don't see a lot of tall beauties on the stage these days. And you're 5'9", so yeah.
Yes, representing for the tall girls, and I love heels. Like even like when I go out with my husband, like I will wear heels. And so I say that because my husband is a tad bit shorter than me. I'm like, about to put on these 4 inches and rock all these legs. You hear me? He's gonna get all.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, exactly.
And it can be so hard when you are tall as well to look like you've actually got muscle, but you held it really well. Like you looked like through, 5D. You didn't look like you were a greyhound. Do you know what I mean? Like you were full. Like,
listen, I would say that came with time because, like you just said, when you're long, like and Rose knows, when you're long, it is so hard.
Oh God,
like,
yes, girl. Yes, girl.
It's like my limbs just don't stop. And so because they just never get full. So for you to say that to me, Lisa, makes me feel really great.
Oh, it was
Oh
honestly, I was like, you saw it, Rose. Like her glutes were boom, her quads were like, ow, even your arms, because that would be the first sign. Like you get these Betty Spaghetti arms. I'm like, there's no Betty Spaghetti going on here. Like she's got full capped shoulders with 3D arms. There's the triceps, there's the biceps, and it was really complete and balanced, in my opinion.
Oh, my opinion too. Yeah, absolutely. And I was looking at your physique and just going, wow, how does she get that fullness? Like, just that's what I want on stage because, as we do know, it takes a long time to fill up these long levers. And when you just said that, I was like, oh my God, that's exactly how I feel. They just never end. These limbs, they never end.
And so you have like even when like in posing, I have to take that into account because when you are long, you don't want to just look like you're just reaching and just flowing.
We actually had I had a posing class yesterday with Lisa and my other posing coach, and we had the same discussion. Like I have to keep my hands in close to my body because I'm so long that if I put them out even slightly, it looks like I've got like these long flapping arms that are just like
like a praying mantis.
Exactly. You're like, what are your arms doing? Put your arms down. Why are they? And they're just
and it's just like, God, I'm not the only one. This is so good to talk to you.
So Tamera, like we're going to talk about your journey and where you got started because you're quite relatively new to the scene. Well, I've been around for 25 years. Rose's been around since the early 2000s as well in the sport. And, we're at the other side. We're well and truly into our 40s. So, we're a little bit
well and truly a couple of years. Let's not just put our age right up there. Like,
I think I'm close to the. Sorry,
yeah, like could have fooled me. That's why I'm shaking my head like you're what?
Yeah, well, I'm closer to 43 and Rose has just turned 42.
Just turned 42. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no.
Okay, I
Well,
love
we
you.
love
You're
you.
coming back on. You can come back on anytime you like.
Anytime you want. So, my goodness. So you've had a bit of a journey. So let's take it back to where it first started for you. Like in terms of like just let's say a year or two before you did your first show.
A year or two before, I did my show. I was working three jobs. I was working retail. Out three of my jobs were retail, and so living with my mom, just got out of a horrible relationship that I had been in for about 5 years, and just not really knowing who Tamera was. And that sounds so cliche, but it is the truth. And I was working out. I started to work out just to build my self esteem. And y'all, if I told y'all what I would do in the gym when I first started working out, you would laugh. So I'm going to tell you. All I did was walk on the treadmill at the highest incline every day for an hour, holding on. That was my workout. That's
Oh,
all I did.
Oh,
I
how
bless
was
you.
God love
afraid.
you.
I was afraid of weights. I was scared I would look like a guy. I was scared because I didn't know what to do. I would be like embarrassed. How does this work? I didn't do anything but hop on the treadmill, watch TV, walk on an incline for an hour, and I would leave. That was my workout. But I started working out, or if that's what you want to call working out, I started working out, build my self-esteem. Like I had no real goals, when you're a kid, you have all these things about what you want to do and things like that. But after I graduated high school, I tried college like three times, did not work out none of those times. So I was just working. And I ran into a guy who at the time was just helping me to work out, but he ended up being my mentor. And he asked me had I ever thought about competing. And I was like, what is that? What competing in what? Um, and so and he explained to me what it was. And so about a year after that, I started looking into doing my first show. And even still, I still didn't know what I wanted to do career wise. And so he's like, well, why? He had mentioned, being maybe a police officer, something that was just a stable job to get me going. And so, that I was like, well, I did the army. That's where I went. And, so I did my first show, then went and signed up for the military a few months later and shipped out to basic training. And ever since then, like I always tell people, God put him in my life
Mm.
to help me with structure. And like we were talking about earlier, the structure is what saved me. Like this sport saved me. This sport kept me from doing things that I would not have wanted to do or should not have been doing. There's a lifestyle that I had before competing that because I now compete, I just don't do certain things. And I can attribute that to, yeah, God instilling that in me. But at the same token, I'm like, listen, I'm not just a competitor. I'm an athlete. I love this sport. I want to go far in this sport. This sport has helped and carried me. I met my husband through this sport. This is a part of my
Yeah.
life. And so
Mm.
um that's where I was then. And looking back, it doesn't even seem like it was that far ago. It's like it just happened but it's crazy how fast it just progressed. And then to top it off, I mean, the people that I have met, just even like you guys, like the people I've met, it's just so cool to meet people who get it and who want to talk to you and let you see like there are normal people like us, if you consider us normal. Normal
It's our
like
Well,
normal.
normal to
Our
a
normal.
degree. Good normal. Because I think if you've got a little bit of obsession in you, that's actually a good thing. A lot of people are like, oh, you shouldn't be obsessed about stuff or one-track minded about things. But I actually think when you were talking about structure before, that it's really actually a good thing when you become a little bit obsessed with something, as long as it's a healthy thing, because it allows you to achieve. Um, so how would you say, like with your structure, how would you say, like how long did it take you to embed that Like how can you take us through that process of like when you started to go from like a person who had zero structure, zero goals, zero everything to then, you know, having goals, having a structure? Like what was that process like?
It was in the beginning, I didn't even realize that it was a process. I just knew I wanted to just compete. Like that's what I knew. And only because it was something that I had just looked into. And at the beginning, Rose, I didn't even realize that I was creating a process. Um,
Mm.
I think the hardest part was, when it really hit me that I had created a process was when I fell out of the process.
Ah,
And when I out of that process was when I got back from basic training. And so, when you're in the army or when you're training, you are not on your own time. You cannot eat your own food. Nothing is on you. So you're doing what you're told. It's literally right place, right time, right uniform. That is it. So when I came home, it was kind of like, oh God, I had this structure, this routine, this process that was going really well for me. I leave and I come back and I'm like, what am I supposed to do? So that is when I actually realized that I had a process and I had a structure. And it took me about a year and a half to get back into it, believe it or not.
yeah.
Um, I had gotten home because I was like, what do you do? I didn't know.
Mm.
It is crazy. I was like, okay, so how was I making my meals or how was I working out? I have to come back and find a job. I have to come back and get back to civilian life. And it was like totally, totally foreign to me.
Wow.
Yeah. That's so interesting that, yeah, so it was sort of going into the army that actually you were kind of forced into a structure. That's how it's run. And then you were like, hang on a minute. I actually have zero structure. When you got back out into your own real life, into civilian life, you were like, shit, I actually don't have a structure. I actually have to develop one. I remember having a very similar moment when I first began my sort of goals towards competing, thinking, I've got no structure, no routine. I had no routine. I just get up every day and it's like, oh well, wherever the wind takes me today, that's where I'm going.
Yep. Yeah. And so, in finally figuring out that one, I knew I wanted to compete again. And it was like, okay, that's what helped me. Competing is what helped me have a structure. So let's do it again. Let's hop back on stage. So I reached out to my very first coach at the time, reached out back to him, and I was like, hey, I've been gone for about a year and a half. I'm back. So how do we do this thing? And so he's like, all right, bet, let's get it done. And so every year, since 2019, I've done a show. And we've just been going. So it's definitely been a journey. And it was crazy. I didn't even know what a pro was. I just knew I wanted to compete when I first started, like even 2019. And then people were like, "Oh, you can go pro." I'm like, "Okay, what is it?"
Right, whatever. Okay.
I'm just here for
But
the
I began to.
structure.
I'm just doing something. I like what I do. So yeah, it's been an incredible journey. It has.
So, what would you say outside of the structure while you've been competing every single year has been your biggest challenges in your physique?
Oh man. So one of the biggest things, and we were actually just talking about it, was because I am very, very long in my physique. It's been really, in my mind, really hard to maintain fullness in my muscle bellies. That was one of the things I was really scared of. The good thing about it is, of course, we can be really conditioned really quickly because we're so lean, which is
Yeah.
cool. But when you don't have the pretty symmetry muscle bellies to fill it out, it makes no difference. So that was one of the hardest things. So in my mind, it's like in my mind, I was never big enough.
Yeah.
And even still with that now, like I'm still like even like in off season, this past off season, I got up to 210 pounds. And for me, that's heavy. Um that's heavy. And then we were on stage, I was 155. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm not big enough. I don't have this. I don't, my quads aren't this. Like, we're tearing ourselves apart. And that's the biggest, so even now, Lisa, I still battle with size because of my long limbs. I always think that I'm just never big enough.
Well, that
Oh my
sounds
God,
like
I'm
someone I
hearing you.
know.
Oh God, I'm hearing you loud and clear. I just think that even putting up my photos sometimes, I'm just like, oh my God, like I feel like I look like small or like stringy or something. Like, and if I'm not like, I think it's harder for us to just pop as we generally walk around in the day because we are so long. Like, but once we're on stage and we're pumped up and everything, like you looked amazing. Your fullness was so brilliant. Like I would, looking at you, I'm like, oh God, no, you have the right fullness. But
You were
I
the
totally
modern
get
day
it.
Amazon. Literally, it was like
Oh,
if there was a picture of an
yeah.
Amazon woman in the dictionary, it would be you because you walked on and it was like, holy, like respectfully speaking to all the other figure athletes there, because that was the
Oh,
best
and they're all
I
brilliant.
have
They're
ever
all brilliant.
seen in a pro show this year. Like, would that be fair to say? I was like, shit, anyone could have gone to the Olympia on that lineup because they were that good.
They were that good, but yes,
Yeah.
you were a standout. And like I've always like Jessica has always been like one of my favorite. Like she's like just such a favorite for me. I just love her flow and structure. So when you came out, I was like, oh yeah, okay. Ooh, yes, this is that you were again like someone that's I was like, oh, this is really going to be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. Last year when my pro debut was at Texas last year, and y'all, I didn't even know I was standing beside Jessica till we did a quarter turn.
Oh my God. Oh,
No, Tamera.
oh God, love you. But maybe that was a good thing because you might have got nervous because I mean she's Jessica. Like everyone knows who she is. Like
So we were doing comparisons during prejudging, and the judge was going to turn to the right, and so we did our side, and I looked and I was like, oh my God.
You're standing next to number 2 in the world.
oh my God, you would have been just like, oh my God, she's right there. She's like, I could touch it. Like right there.
Yo, I was tripping, and it was so hard not to like pretend not to geek out while still trying to be professional on stage and do my
Oh,
course. I was like,
see, knowing me, I'd probably be like, oh my God, hi, Jessica, hi, I'm here behind you.
Let me just get my autograph out of my bikini top. Can you please autograph this while we're here?
Sorry, judges, just hold on for 5 seconds. I'm just going to get her autograph.
but it was so cool. Like they put on a wonderful show. That show I've only done 3 shows pro, and I think I have a favorite because I love the way they just handled everything. Battle Up Productions, they did an immaculate job taking care of everybody, and it was just so well ran. And it was just fun, and that's the one thing which I never take my own advice, but I always tell other competitors to have fun because it goes by so fast. Like you, like tensed up, you're nervous, you're anxious, and then like you blink and you're done. So I always tell everybody to have fun. So listen, next time I do a show, y'all gonna have to message me like, Tamera, have fun, because I'm not gonna tell myself that. I'm telling you that now.
We'll remind you. We'll hold you to that.
We'll
remind
you. We'll be like, have fun, girl. Have fun.
So coming into the Texas Pro, fun aside, what were your expectations? Like, how do you manage your expectations when you're coming into a show like that? I think that's really important because we're speaking off air about this. Like, we're not here to make up numbers. We're here to do the best we actually can. And we all want to go to the O and stand on that stage. And, even if we're last, we'll be like, I've made it.
Hello.
I made it. I'm at the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
That's it. So, and you're coming into a show, and that was one hell of a show. Like, the lineup was the best figure competitors that I had seen this year. Like I said, and I don't know if it's because we're a lot of us, we're closer to the actual O, you know, and people have done a few shows and they, you know, they're improving and fine tuning as the year goes on. But it's almost like you have to have this dose of reality, but be realistic, but optimistic. So how did you and your coach and hubby kind of like merge together to help you manage your expectations leading into the show? And what were they?
So this going into Texas, let me just back up 2 weeks prior to when we did Tampa, because Tampa was my anxiety show, and I said that it was just crazy getting from Little Rock to Tampa. Baby, can I tell them that we missed our flight? I just told them. So we missed our we missed our flight going to Tampa. So at, guys know when you have a show coming up and you're getting ready, any it's like tense. Everything is intense. And so we missed our flight, and then of course that caused us to get to the room late and having to get food, and all these things are just happening. And the biggest thing was, okay, my cortisol levels are going to go up, which is going to cause me to hold water, which is going to cause me to stress, which is going to cause, like, that was my mind. So I was
Yeah.
not able to focus the way I needed to during that whole week. And mind you, Tampa was the show was a Friday night or Friday. We got to Tampa on Monday, so I still had plenty of time to chill. But in my mind, I didn't have any time at all to do anything. Like, that just really kind of messed with me. And so the expectation going into that show was, I just want to make sure we get there. That was it. And that was really crazy. But I was like, I just want to make sure we get there. And so when we finally did the show, I was not totally upset with, like, well, I wasn't upset at all really with the placing. I was just happy we were able to get to the show, and I did really well enough. Like, I was nervous, I was scared. I hadn't been on stage in over a year. I was in my mind about my posing. I mean, everything was just crazy in my head. But when we did going into Texas, I was a lot more relaxed, and going into it, I was like, you know what? Texas is like home for me. This is my second time doing this show. I was like, and of course, everybody wants to win. That's the whole purpose of doing it. So
Yeah.
I'm telling myself, win the show. It's not a big deal. I was like, I want to go in, have fun, going to kick it. And then I have my restaurants already that I'm going to go to afterwards. That was expectation. My coach was like, let's go kill it, let's go win it. Then I see you afterwards. I mean, we were a lot more calm this show than we were for Tampa, which caused me to have more fun on stage and just enjoy the moment. And that's really that was the whole thing for Texas. Well, Tampa was a little crazy, so we just gonna have fun for Texas.
I saw that as well. Like when you came out, you had a glow about yourself and you took your time with your poses this time as well. Like you came out and you're like position first, and then you get yourself in a position and you just go, and then your shoulders went pow, and the quads went boom, and the waist went choom. And I was like, oh yeah, she's on. And you could, and then your facials as well. Like when your body moved, your eyes would move with your body as well. And that was something that, whether it was a conscious thing that you were doing or not, I don't know. But when you see that, you see someone that's in flow and someone that's aligned. It's not like body's going that way, eye and head's going that way. So there was that sense of alignment and there was that sense of calm as well. But like you were like in a real happy place, and your body looked great at Tampa. Your body looked even better at Texas, but your body was like, it looked happy. The way that you were tensing your muscles and going into it looked happy. It didn't look or anxious.
That's how I felt at Tampa. I was feeling real robotic. I
Yeah.
really was, because of the anxiety and and just going into it, doing a new show, not knowing what to expect. I mean, because at the end of the day, I'm still new. So I really didn't know, what to expect going into, your pro debut is, sorry, husband. Okay,
Hey,
sorry.
husband.
Your pro
Hello, husband.
said hello. He said, hey.
Hey.
You're probably like, yay, it's a pro debut. I had just turned pro 2 weeks prior to doing my pro debut. So at that point, I was kind of in the same headspace of just having fun because I'm like, it's a pro debut. Like, I don't know where I'm gonna place. I'm just happy to be here. So we just gonna have fun. And so now this year, my biggest my in my mind, I was like, okay, I don't want to be like a one-hit wonder. And what I meant by that was I don't want to just, do really, really well coming out of the box and then just fall flat from myself, just failing, which, for me, failing would just be letting myself down, not maximizing everything the way we were supposed to when it came to meals, posing practice, sleep, still trying to work, still technically a newlywed trying to weigh that out, still, running a gym. I have 15 people that report to me and having soldiers on under me on base. So it was just kind of like, trying to make sure I could actually handle it all on a professional level and still be successful. Dang it, that was a lot. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's great. Like, because Rose and I were talking about, this a few weeks ago. Every level has a devil. So every time you're having to level up in life, or you want to achieve something that is greater than you've ever achieved before, and you have those expectations or dreams or goals, there's always going to be challenges that you have to overcome, stresses that you're going to have to regulate yourself through. And comp prep is like the training ground for that, isn't it? Right?
Absolutely. I totally agree. And like listening to you say that is very reassuring too, I think, for athletes that are listening coming up the ranks, because when we've had a lot of Olympians on, and some of them have just got their process so down pat because they've been around for a long time, and they just sound so regimented and polished. And it's so good to talk to someone like yourself who is high caliber, but kind of breaking into the ranks now and really making a name, and having made your debut last, now you're placing in the big shows, and but you're still working through that process and working it out, and you still get nervous, and you still have those real feelings about like, oh gosh, am I gonna succeed here? It's actually very reassuring to hear, like for myself as well, who's about to make my pro debut at the end of the year.
You're gonna kill it.
Oh,
I keep telling her.
You're gonna kill it. You got no pressure, but you got to represent for the tall girls. I'm just saying. I'm just gonna put it.
No pressure, but do well. I will. Don't worry. I won't let us down. I won't let us down.
It's real though. Like I don't say all that just to make it seem like, it's like compete or die, or if I don't win, then my life is over. Not at all. But when you set those expectations for yourself, and when you know that you have like all this potential to be great and to do well, and you want to be able to prove to yourself, let alone other people who believe in you. One thing about it, my husband, he always tells me, he's proud of me. He's happy, no matter what. He always tells me that. But in my back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, first he says it. This is what he says. I'm saying this to you as your trainer, not as your husband. I'm like, yeah, whatever. You're my husband. So
yeah.
But it helps. It really helps when you have, people who like people who get it, and we do get it in our own heads. We do, hold ourselves at a certain level of greatness. And what I mean by that is, we have high expectations for ourselves on and off the stage, and we just live a life that sometimes all of that is in one big, like on one big plate. It's not like we are able to always separate those things. And balance is different. Some days balance isn't 50-50 all the way around. It may be 20 over here and then 60 here and then 20 here. You have to learn how to balance it. And I don't care if you're a new pro, a seasoned pro, or whatever the case may be, life is going to life. I don't care what nobody.
Oh my God.
Oh, yes.
So true.
Oh my God. If I told people half the stuff that's gone on during my prep so far, they would be like, how are you prepping? But like, I know that always happens. I almost like, because I've prepped so many times now, I'm like, something is going to happen in prep. It always does, because it's almost like God says, I'm not only am I going to give you prep, okay, but I'm also going to give you other outside external challenges, because you know what, life, as you said, life's going to life, and you have to be prepared for life to life, even through a prep. So it's like, not only have you got prep, but you've got life.
And your life is what is going to level you up in prep. Your life is the place you get when you get on stage, and how much you life is the placing that you get on that stage. And that's what I found, you know. There have been years and years and years, and Rose, you were there for my pro debut, and I was on stage, for my pro, when I turned pro, and I was on stage with you when you turned pro. So we understand that when we were backstage, well, not when we were backstage, but leading into the pro debut, Tamera, I was prepping, I was doing my pro-am kind of show, the leading into my pro card in lockdown. We had 10 lockdowns in Victoria, in Australia, 10 lockdowns. So synergistically, all the gyms were closed. They were not opened. They were not open for 2.5 years. You couldn't go, but the show must go on.
2.5 years.
I was prepping in a garage using, moderate, gym equipment in my garage, and then my coach, which is my best mate, I'd drive out to his house, and say I was his +1, just so I could get to his house to go outside the radius, so he could, teach me to do my squats and my deadlifts and have that little bit of support there. And that was that for 2.5 years. And then alongside that, I have a little boy who's 7 years old, and I went through a divorce over that time, and horrendous breakup, but my little boy was born with half a heart, so he was in and out of surgeries over that time as well, having open heart surgery. So all of that combined, plus prep, 51 shows later, was on the day, it was the best I'd ever looked, it was the best I'd ever felt, and that was my day, and
it was like your reward though, babe. Like, it was like your reward, because, I believe God does these things and then he rewards you. If you work through these things, and then you get like a reward to go, you know what, you actually leveled up. You went to the next level. Because I remember getting a phone call from Lisa, 5 weeks out or something like that, just going, yeah, I'm not going to do the show. I'm going to pull it out. I'm not coming together. And I'm going, what, send me photos. And she's like, sent me photos. And I'm like, what are you looking at? Like, you look amazing. You're in your head. Get out of your head. You've got this, girlfriend. You've got this, and she did. She looked like phenomenal on the day. But God, didn't you go through some hard yards to get there? But
exactly. And it's like,
I mean, in my mind, that's testament to your faith. I mean, the word says faith without works is dead. So at the end of the day, if you would have just quit, if you would have just been like, you know what, I can't, then who is to say that whatever lesson that God was trying to teach you or show you during that time, you would have even gotten that lesson and been able to talk about it and have the reward today, all because of one, the faith, and then the work. And that is so important. I mean, that's a life lesson, but if we're just going to bring it back home to what we do, with what we love, every time it's a faith walk. People don't understand, competing is a faith walk. You can't, there are just certain things you will not be able to predict.
I love that. I've got goosebumps. Competing is a faith walk. I love that. Great. I'm writing that down.
Write that down, because that's going to be the title of this podcast.
Competing is a faith walk.
That is yours. You're going to trademark that. Put it on your next t-shirt.
So true, though. That is so true.
It is. That I have learned so much more about myself as a woman, as of course an athlete, as a wife. I've learned as a daughter, I've learned so much more about myself, who I am when I'm in prep and when I'm not in prep. I mean, they're even going back to like the expectations and being more realistic, when to be realistic, when to be optimistic, those types of things are what come into play when I think about me, just me not being Tamera the athlete, but Tamera the person.
Yeah.
And my husband always reminds me, he always says, bodybuilding is not who you are, it's what you do.
True.
Oh,
It's a
yes.
platform, isn't it? It's a platform where you go, this is me handling life, doing life, and going through all my challenges and gaining all my wisdoms and insights and having all my breakdowns before my breakthroughs come. And now I'm showing it on stage.
Yes,
That's the platform. Yeah.
I love
I
that.
love that. That's so true, because I think, everyone we've spoken to, and I don't know if you feel this way too, Tamara, but I don't get up there to show off my body. Like, it sounds crazy, but I'm not there to go, oh, look at me, I look sexy. Look, I'm not there. I'm there to go, look at the hard work and dedication that I've been able to sustain for this amount of time. And now I'm showcasing it. Like, now I'm up here going, this is what I've achieved. So it's got nothing to do with how I sort of look as I don't know, like that. Yeah.
And it sounds so crazy, but it's not, even though it's a physical or, a
Visual.
showy
Yeah.
it is not, the work that goes into it is not vanity. There is not 1 ounce of vanity that goes into the work that we put into this. Not at all.
So humbling, isn't it?
Wanted to be a vanity show, we'll just post our pictures and hope for more likes. But that's not what it's about.
That's so true. And like, I put up like my videos and I've got no makeup on and I'm in I'm in the trenches, like I'm working, like, and I sort of like that. To me is like, I try to show a bit more realism of the sport, because it's like,
it's unattractive,
we're not all
off stage, isn't it?
It's very unattractive. Trust me.
It's grey hair. It's, messy houses, dishes in the sink, like it's all of those things. And like you said, Tamera, it's life as well. It's navigating through the catastrophes and the, speed humps, so to speak, that, catch us in our tracks, and how we regulate through that. So one of the things that you did brought up, and Rose, you've brought it up as well, is having a strong faith. And, there are things that are outside of our physical realm of capacity. And I always say this, that, there's 5 elements to your health: mental, emotional, spiritual, nutritional, and physical. And your spiritual one is everything that you can't see, but you can feel. It's like, what do you believe in, right? What are your core values? What walk of faith do you follow? Like, what are your commandments? What is your faith? Whatever it is that you believe in, that's your spiritual health. And if there is no substance there, you're only as strong as your weakest link. So when you need time, when there are times where you need to call upon help and your physical body has reached that tip, where do you go? You go to your spiritual faith. You go to that spiritual pillar of your health. And how have you been nurturing and growing and evolving and investing in that area, as well as all the other areas?
And that goes back to balance. I mean, that's what helps balance it out. I will never forget in 2021, which was one of the hardest preps for me. We were doing nationals for the second time. And I ended up having to do 2 hours of cardio in the morning and 2 hours at night, 7 days a week. And we all have our cardio testimonies. So,
oh yeah,
I know we do, but there will be times where I will be in the gym 11 o'clock at midnight, having to get back up at 4, but I got to get the cardio in. And I'm on the Stairmaster, guys. Like, I'm just in tears, like just crying, like just beyond physical exhaustion. That's way gone. It was just mental, and me, and just praying for God just to literally just get me through the rest of this cardio session so I can go home. That's it. But at the same time, again, that was me working on my relationship with him, and then my husband right there beside me, who is just as tired. He don't have a show. He ain't got to do nothing, but he's there with me on the stairmaster, walking there with me, making sure that I'm okay. And like you said, when you don't have that spiritual part of everything else, you're missing something, and you don't have that foundation. So when you don't have that foundation, it's very easy to even tear yourself apart even the more so, break yourself down even the more so. And what's there to build you up? What is going to be there? Personally, for me, I have to have that spiritual aspect. I have to. I won't make it without it.
No, I
Oh,
agree.
I'm saying.
Any successful person that I know, and in this podcast that we have spoken to over the last 8-9 months now, have all said the same thing. Natalia Coelho, and even Jessica, and Cherish Richardson, who we've spoken to, but all of them have said the same thing. They have that spiritual element, who or whatever it is that they believe in, that they can tap into when they really need it. It's like tapping into these limitless sources of energy that are, godly, so to speak.
Yeah.
That are outside any logical, rational capacity that your mind could go to, if that makes sense.
It makes all the sense in the world. Totally agree.
Yeah. And I think, the more people who are successful that I hear from, the more people that I realize the really successful people, they have faith in something. Mm-hmm. It may not be the same God or the same, but there is a spiritual, yes, there is a spirituality that they have and that they draw upon.
A grounding, it's almost like a groundingness to keep them grounded,
Yes.
It's belief. It's the assured expectations of things yet to come. You don't know how it's going to happen, but you know it's going to happen. And that is exactly that's how I define faith. If I was faith was in the dictionary.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about moving forward. What are the plans for you now moving forward over the next, let's say, 6 to 12 months?
12 months. So we're going to go into I say mini off season. A mini one.
Yeah.
On the feedback that we received from the judges. So we're just kind of go back to the drawing board right now. So we're hoping to hop back on stage somewhere spring, early summer of next year. Because the judges were like, hey, a little bit too hard in the glutes and the hamstrings, or and like need to work on your posing some more. And I'm like, say less, baby. I give you posing. I can do that. So we're just kind of go back to the drawing board and see what shows to pick out. But that's what we have now. So right now I am improvement season, enjoying life, hanging out with the hubbies. We have yet to even have a honeymoon. Like we got married and we've been competing. Yeah. So crazy story, real sideline story. I don't know if I have.
Bring it on.
Yeah. Tell us. Yeah.
Having a cute conversation. So I got to tell y'all this. So my husband and I, we got married in 2019, December, right? So, and then, 2020 was like COVID. So I actually did a show in 2020, during COVID, like a crazy person. Like, yeah, I know. It's what we do.
It's what we do.
I need that structure.
We gotta have structure. Like, God, I need a show, right? I need a show.
I gotta have something. So we got married in 19, did a show in 20, did another show in 21. And I was like, oh my God, we've been married for 2 years. We didn't even have a wedding. So we actually had a wedding 2 years after we got married.
Yes.
I love that.
Tell me you're a bodybuilder without telling me you're a bodybuilder.
Yeah, exactly. It's the best. I love it. This is a great story.
It's 2023, we got married in December, so we're going on 4 years of marriage, and we still have, the only time we traveled is to do a show. And so the goal, like, be able to go on a vacation that doesn't involve Tupperware. That's all I want.
Oh my God, that's gonna be so God, go and have the best time. God love you both, because you both do bodybuilding too, which is just, I mean, it's great. But at the same time, as you said, like your whole lives are just like revolving around the shows and stuff. And it's like now you actually get to enjoy being like a normal, with commas, couple together. That's gonna be so nice. Oh,
Have you thought about where you want to go for your holiday, for your honeymoon?
So long, something not gonna get done. I don't know what's not gonna get done. So he wants to do baby, you said Bahamas. I think he said Bahamas.
Oof.
That's where he wants to go. I honestly, I have not been to an island in my entire life. So yeah, I know. So oh, he said Aruba, forgive me. He says Aruba. At this point, I don't care. I want to be surrounded by prettiness and water. Okay, listen.
Yes. And the heat. And
one day you're so gonna have to come to Australia. You can stay with us, like stay with Lisa, then come down to New South Wales and stay with me.
Say less. Australia is on the list. Like, I have some places. My sister, she wants to go to Belize. I was like, that's random, but okay, let's go. Let's just do it. Oh, we know this is not all going to happen within 1 year. However,
yeah.
I'm about to start making some plans because, like we talked about earlier, balance. And I love competing and I want to keep loving competing. So I have to balance it out. Like every other pro athlete in any other sport, they take vacations. We are no different.
Well, it's so true. I think that's one of the things that has kept Rose and myself in the sport for so long. I think my first show was in 2005. But I've been in the industry since 1998. And so a very long time. And this is it, like competing is a part of our life. It's not all of our life. And what has given us stamina and endurance and allowed us to reach, heights, high levels in this country has been that balance that you're talking about. And whether that's vacation, relationships, holidaying at home, like whatever, having that time off.
It's so good.
It's really important. So yeah, we'd love to have you here one day. I live at the north end of Australia, which is Queensland, which is where they call it the Sunshine State. So it's hot all year round. Like at the moment, I'm going to turn my laptop around. Can you see outside?
It's pretty.
Yeah.
It's so like sunny up there.
We are still in winter in North Queensland, and that's what it's like. Yeah. That's winter. So you'll have to look up Queensland, like Sunshine Coast, which is where I live, and the Gold Coast, and Brisbane's kind of like the city of the North Queensland. It's like the capital city. But yeah, there's so many amazing places here, and if you're in the US and you come to Australia, the dollar is so strong at the moment, like 65 cents to the dollar, Tamera. So you come over here, your money doubles. No shit. We
got
go
10
over.
grand, girl. You got 10 grand, you got 20 when you come over here.
Rose and I, we're gonna have to start a GoFundMe page.
We're gonna have to. Oh my God, I just got my invoice for my bikini and I'm like, oh my God, rightio, okay, rightio, let's do it. Okay, Australian dollars, freaking most expensive bikini I've ever purchased, put it that way.
So I'm a shop. I to my shame, my husband hates it, but I shop, and what's bad is I don't go anywhere. So I have all these clothes with all these tags, and they're just in the closet looking at me, look at them. And I don't do anything.
Oh God, I hear you.
You're going to need it for a photo shoot.
I've literally got so many beautiful clothes. I went to Maya yesterday, which is like a store here in Australia. I don't know if it's in America, but anyway, I went to Maya and I'm walking around, and of course they've got like 75% off the markdown price, and I'm like, well, of course I've got to buy a lot of these clothes. I need more clothing. Anyway, I spend $120 and get this like so much stuff, but I didn't need any of it. And I'm like, when do I actually wear it? Because I work from home, I'm sitting at my office all day and I'm like, oh God. So I'm going to make a rule for myself that I actually have to get dressed as if I'm going to the office every day from now on. So I'm actually wearing these clothes.
Oh,
I'm gonna do it.
You gotta put it in your stories.
I'm gonna post it in my
Today's
story
office wear.
to hold myself accountable, because I'm like, I'm just wasting these amazing clothes.
No, you're not. And so what I tell myself is because we fluctuate between prep and improvement season. I'm like, listen, I need a size 2 and a size 10 and a 12. You just
It's true. Oh, it's so true. Oh God.
So, I think we're definitely going to get you back on board, and I definitely see you going to the Olympia. It's not a matter of when, it's just a matter of time. Do you know what I mean? Or if it's going to happen. It's going to happen, and I see that. And I know I said I was going to connect you with Greg Hasbury, who's in Mississippi. He's the promoter. He's there. Next June, they're going to be putting on a pro show like they did this year, but they've added the figure division. And it's only 2 hours from you. So, and it's like in spring. So it makes sense, right?
makes all
Yeah. It's like, let's get that rolling, and like you're doing something for those smaller states out there as well. So I think that, and I think he would love that as well, because I'm going to call you seasoned athlete, and you're a high caliber as well. And I think even if we were to put the promoter's hat on, there is something that feels really special about when you have a high profile athlete that comes to your show. And the same thing happened with James Stokes from Singapore when he did the first figure pro show in February this year. We had Bolyana, for that show, and it's just it takes that show to another level, and it puts it on the map. It's just like, I think being a promoter as well, it's kind of like entry level promoters. It's like being a NPC competitor sort of thing. And then it's like, okay, now I'm a seasoned amateur athlete, I'm a seasoned NPC promoter, and then you get your first pro show, like you get it, and it's like, yes, it's like I've made it. I'm gonna be the best. I'm gonna have the best pro show ever, and and I feel like that's where Greg's at as well, and he's a beautiful soul, he's a beautiful character, and I think the two of you actually, don't you, Rose, would get on like a house.
Oh, they'd get on like a house on fire.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. So
he's really lovely. He's very kind, lovely man.
Yes, please send me his stuff.
I will. Now, before we go, we always ask our guests to, give a little bit of wisdom to those that have been listening today, like 3 tips, 3 words of wisdom, 3 bits of advice for people coming up the ranks, maybe starting out in the sport, on, your learnings that you think that might be valuable for them coming through the ranks.
Well, like I said earlier, I will say this: 2 things that I mentioned earlier that I want to reiterate. One, competing, like we said, is a faith walk. So you need to have faith. Mine is in God. That's who I am, but it's definitely a faith walk. So don't lose faith.
Yeah.
2, have fun. Have fun. Have fun. Enjoy the process. And it's so much easier said than done. But when you look back after you've done each show or each competition or whatever the case may be, when you look back, you want to be able to say, I did it. And you don't want to be able to, you don't want to say, I did it with any regret. So have fun. So faith without, works is dead. Have fun. And I don't know about a third one. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. Have your support system.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great advice. Yes.
You have to have people who, even if they don't necessarily get the details, they support you. They don't have to understand it fully, but make sure you have some people, a good village. And this sport takes a village. Like I have my husband, I have my mom, I have, of course, my posing coach who's like a sister to me. I have my actual coach. I have my physical therapist who's like our best friends. You know, all these people who play a part in competing, but they are there as my support
Yeah.
system. People on you, just have that. So though that was a lot. I'm sorry, bro.
No, don't be sorry. That is perfect.
I would say those three things for sure will not only get you far just in the competing, but in life. In life.
Oh,
I think
yes.
that's the key as well. They're transferable into other areas
Yeah.
of your life as well. It's like we were talking before, if there was a fourth one, it'd be structure, right? For you. It's
Yeah.
having that, you know, I think in order to have
Not
freedom,
about
number 4, in order to have discipline, or in order to have freedom in life, you need to have discipline first, right? And
yes.
Absolutely.
yep. And that comes with time, it comes with effort, but it comes with absolutely everything that you've said there, which is having that faith, you know, and right at the top, it's kind of like, you know, the assured expectations of things yet to come, you know, you do need that support structure as well. You know, that's really important. So I think that, you know, moving forward, anyone that's listening to this right now, you need to find your little rituals, right? The things like your mess is your message. So whatever the thing is right now where you're at in your life right now, and you want to take this journey of competing, you want to reach that, you know, you want to get on stage for the very first time, you want to start your own prep. There is a mess there right now that God is asking you to level up to, and he's there waiting to help you. Call it the universe, call it the law of attraction, whatever it is, that is your mess. Make your mess your message when you step out on stage. That is the thing that you're going to overcome. Now, you know, what it is to Tamera or what it is to me or what it is to Rose, what our messes are might be different from yours. So take some time to reflect on what that is for you, because that's going to be your faith. That's going to be your purpose. And when I'm going to say it, when the shit's low and you're feeling it and you want to quit, it's your purpose that's going to keep you going. It's the mechanics and the programming that will then support that, right? Along the way. So again, Tamera, thank you so much for coming on board. We adore you. We love you. We want you back on here again. Can't wait to see you climb through the ranks and stand on your stage one day.
So you guys better kill it. You don't have a choice. I'm just going to say that. Lisa, you don't have a choice. But look, no pressure.
No pressure at all. No worries.
No pressure at all. No pressure. I feel
I'm like, God, did you hear that? Tamera
I cannot let Tamera down. Okay, radio.
She's spoken.
She has spoken, and I can't let her down.
Guys are so amazing. Thank you so much, for real. I love it. I love you guys. This was amazing.
It was fun. It was real fun.
And it was. You know, thank you so much.
No worries. We'll chat with you off air, but thanks everyone for tuning in and listening to episode 46 of Go Figure.